Good evening and welcome back to HawKast. Tonight, our first guest is a gentleman named Tony Rowe, right here on my left. Tony runs HawKast.mp4, something he's been doing for just a couple of months now, but like anybody out there, obviously has a passion. It's definitely something that following amateur hoops, whether it comes to high school basketball, college basketball, recruiting, is definitely something that he has a passion for and definitely follows closely. So, Tony, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Something that I initially found Tony, and I think kind of the way that a lot of people, especially when it comes to sports, are finding each other these days, coming from Twitter directly. I think somebody with the insight and the knowledge when it comes to Twitter, I think it kind of shows really quick. It's pretty much how I get my sports news all day, every day now. So, Tony, essentially just wanted to talk to you first about amateur hoops. When you started it and why, kind of, what got you motivated to start it in the first place.
We got started with amateur hoops back in late June, early July. Amateur basketball is kind of just one of my passions since junior year of high school. That's when I realized that I understood the game better than I actually played it. And I've just been following it ever since. And I figured why keep posting these 140 character things on Twitter when I can write full articles about it.
Absolutely. When it comes to the running, what I obviously do with amateur hoops, lately I know that there's a kind of an Iowa conglomerate, a website that started called High Porch Picnic, I believe. What have you done for them, and what do you plan on doing for them going forward?
So far, I've only posted an article breaking down Iowa's first commit from the 2012 class, Kyle Meyer, a big kid from Georgia who most people forget about since he committed way back in March. In the future, I'll be breaking down Iowa basketball and primarily focusing on recruiting.
Speaking of that, and obviously with Kyle, what do you think as far as the group that Fran has been able to get for as far as the commits for 2012 so far? Mike Giselle out of Sioux City, Pat Ingram out of Indianapolis, and then Kyle from down in Georgia. What do you think about that news so far, just as a class altogether?
It's got the makings of a good class so far. I don't know if you've seen, but currently they're ranked 21st in ESPN, which I think quite a few people are putting a little too much stock into, considering only 5 of the top 25 players in the country have committed so far. But I like this group so far. I think they still need to add a true point guard because I don't really see Giselle as a lead. I see him more as a scoring guard who's better without the ball. That's just my opinion. I know that all of the ESPN analysts out there see him as a true point. Ingram, I think, has a chance to be an elite defensive player in the Big Ten. Kind of the likes that you haven't seen since the motivated years. We know that he could shut people down when he actually wanted to. And Kyle Meyer is a kid that I really like. He's probably my favorite player so far in this class. He's very versatile. He's a big kid who can stretch the floor. He's 6'10", has range up to the college 3. I think he's going to be a very good low post defender too as he continues to add strength. He kind of reminds me of Greg Bruner on that little comparison out there.
When it comes to Iowa being able to add, a couple more guys here going forward, obviously the one that Iowa fans are definitely hoping for and looking out for the most is that of Adam Woodbury, also out of Sioux City, who's played with Giselle as far as on their AAU team, definitely are close friends. The first part, essentially, do you think that that's something that's possible for Adam to come to Iowa, as well as do you think Adam actually fits the style that Iowa and that Fran is going to try to run with the rest of the guys we already have?
I think it's a very good possibility that he ends up here. As far as I'm concerned, it's down to Iowa and North Carolina for his services. He's coming here for an official visit on September 17th. He'll be here with Giselle and Ingram, so hopefully they can do a little bit of work on him. I know North Carolina is having an in-home visit with him on September 12th, and as far as I'm concerned, those are the two big players in his recruitment. As far as a fit in this system, he'll be fine. I know people who have followed me on Twitter before know that I haven't been his biggest fan. I saw him back in March at the state tournament, and to me he just looked very stiff, forced a lot. When I saw him again in May at the AAU state tournament, and he looked much bigger, more aggressive, ran the floor better. He's becoming more athletic, and he obviously had a huge summer winning the MVP at the NBPA came out in Virginia, where 100 of the top players in the country were. I really like him playing in the high post, kind of like Georgetown used to utilize Roy Hibbert and Greg Monroe. He's a very good passer. Obviously, being 7 feet tall, he can see over the defense all the time. He needs to get stronger down in the paint. His footwork's fine, but he needs to, like I said, get stronger, especially in the lower body, because he'll have problems defensively getting pushed off the block.
And then when it comes to the class coming up here for 2012, obviously Allen's got 3 right now. There's talks with the scholarships that are open that they could sign up to 6. Something that I know recently Fran talked about, the possibility of actually bringing in 6 players. That's kind of a good problem to have. Do you think that Iowa actually brings in 6? And then who are kind of some of the other names that Iowa fans should be looking out for within the next month or two to hopefully commit or take visits?
I think it's a very real possibility pulling a 6 in this class. I think ideally he wants to bring in 3 guards. He's already got 2 of them, Gasell and Ingram, 1 wing player, and 2 big men, which would ideally be Woodbury and Meyer. As far as people who are going to be coming in, or that they're looking at, Gavin Thurman, 6'7" combo forward from Wichita, will be here this weekend for an official visit. His recruitment's reportedly down to us in Wichita State. He's kind of a kid who reminds me of your next guest, U.S. Henderson, a kid who can mix it up in the paint a little bit, but is probably more comfortable playing out on the perimeter. Elijah Mankin is a kid who I don't think we've got a very good chance with. I think he'll probably end up at Maryland, but he's a kid to look out for because we are supposed to be in his top 5. He's a big physical kid, runs the floor very well. He's a top 50 player. Trey Dickerson is a kid who doesn't have an offer yet, but I've gotten very close to him through Twitter. He'll be playing in Sioux City in January against Gasell. He's a kid who's from New York, but is playing his high school basketball in Los Angeles. In talking to him, his biggest strength on the floor is pushing the ball up the floor, which, if we believe that's what McCaffrey wants to do. He's a kid who reminds me of Chauncey Leslie, very quick in the paint at will, but is really a pass-first guy. Like I said, he has no offer right now, but he said that Iowa and San Diego State are coming after him hardest. And then the last kid is Anthony Clemens, a guard from Michigan, I believe. He's a quick kid, but I'm really not a fan of him. I think he's more along the lines of an NBC or MAC player, which would make sense considering he was committed to Eastern Michigan as lately as a week ago. So I think those are probably the 4 names to look out for.
Okay, and then essentially the last question for you. What do you kind of put into the stock as far as predictions for Iowa here coming in 2011? A lot of people have said, if we make it to the NIT, that'll be just an impressive upstart from where we've been in the past couple of years. A lot of people have said, if people that are returning, the NCAA tournament is possible. What's your prediction right now for the HawKast 2011?
I think we're looking at a CBI NIT team here. They will be playing postseason basketball this year. If you look at what the job that McCaffrey has done at each of his past 3 positions, they've improved by an average about 4 years between the first and the second year, which would put this team around 15 wins. But they've got such an easy non-conference schedule this year where they don't leave the state until we get into conference play. I think they could get up to 18 or 19 wins, which is definitely going to be good enough for an NIT spot. There's a few question marks with this team. Need that second ball handler. Hopefully, Devin Marble is that guy. He's reportedly improved more than anybody in this offseason, but it can't be all just Bryce Cartwright. And then the other thing that I have a concern with is a kid who moves without the ball and can come off of screens and shoot. If you look at the roster right now, all these kids are spot-up shooters. You've got Gaten standing in the corner waiting for a pass. You've got McCabe doing the same thing. I'm hoping that Josh Oglesby can be that type of guy, because if he has to do it as chasing guys like Cody Boyd, Kevin Holuska, Justin Johnson all over, it's not fun for opposing defenses.
Okay, so thank you very much. I appreciate the insight and appreciate you having on tonight. Take a quick little break here, and we'll be back with Wes Henderson.